Well, hello, creators. How are you guys? It's great to hang out with you again for another Video Creators Podcast episode like we do every Tuesday on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, all the places you listen to your podcast episodes. And today we're actually live streaming this. It's Monday, like we do every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And I have a special guest for you guys here. If you're in the live stream, you can see him. His name is Mr. Daryl Eves from DarylEves.com. I had to do that's my best impression. How did I do?
Is that your best impression? Come on, you can do better than that.
Okay.
You got the mic for it.
Okay. Daryl Eves from DarylEves.com. Yeah, so today what we want to do with you guys is talk about YouTube and the television market. It is the fastest growing market, apparently. We've talked a lot about optimizing for mobile devices and all those and the viewership that you guys get there. But today we want to spend some time talking about optimizing for television. And we're going to talk more about this in a second, but there's a link in your show notes or in the description down below if you're watching the live stream here that will go into more information about this. But to just kind of tease this for you guys a little bit, YouTube's Chief Product Officer, Neil Mohan, said, "Mobile phones aren't even the fastest growing device these days. It actually seems like the living room screen or television sets where people turn on the TV and open up the YouTube app when they come home from work, sitting on the couch or what have you. That today is about 180 million hours of watch time a day. And in Europe, that number is growing by 45% year on year." So you guys should look at your device in your YouTube analytics, look at your devices, see what what television is doing for you guys. And we'll talk more about that here. But for anyone, Daryl, who doesn't know who you are, why don't you just quickly bring us up to speed with have you done anything on YouTube before? Anything at all?
I don't know if I have or not.
Tell us about yourself.
I'm Daryl Eves. If you don't know, I have a channel called youtube.com/Daryl Eves. It's similar to Video Creators with my own little twist to it. And I have been on YouTube since 2005. It came out in 2005. And I have a company where we work with different brands and creators and help them get visibility and traffic and monetization, stuff like that. I've been known to generate a lot of views, and it's been fun to be a part of this journey. And I'm really passionate, more so with audience development than anything else, because that's the real power of YouTube from my perspective. And there's a lot of things that can do to make this world a better place when you really start developing audiences for your causes. And this cause, like Video Creators here, I love Tim, support you guys, support you, Tim, on Patreon and other places like that. But it's what I'm passionate about is this online video space, and it's been great so far.
Yeah. So one of the things that Daryl does, guys, is he likes bringing people together and likes networking, likes collaborating, likes linking arms however possible. And Daryl, one of the ways that you do that is by putting together this event called VidSummit. It's out in LA, coming up here in a few weeks.
Yep.
I will be there and speaking. Am I doing 2 sessions or 1? I think I'm doing 1 session. I can't remember. 1 session.
You got 1 session, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be out there, and a lot of the people you guys probably know and follow in the YouTube education space, like Daryl and I, a lot of us will be there. So we want to dive in and talk about how television is changing the industry. But Daryl, just bring an update on what VidSummit is for people who might not know what it is, and tell us where we can find more information about it. # not sponsored, guys. I invited him to do this. Full disclosure.
Not sponsored here. Hey, look, I've been, like I said, I've been around the space for a very long time. I've helped 21 channels start from nothing, get over 1 million subscribers each, and we just crossed like 36 billion video views. The thing for me and what I've noticed in this industry is there's like a lack of a couple key areas. Like, people start to have success, but they don't know how to really build a business off of it. And when their success kind of fades, then they end up scrambling. And I had so many people reach out to me, and I know, Tim, you've had a lot of creators. Once the algorithm switches and they don't get the views like they were getting, you get inundated with support requests and consultation requests. That's called job security for us. But I think the big thing for me is I wanted to create a conference that I could go and learn from the best in the industry. And 5 years ago, we actually started a conference where I invited 15 individuals to come teach me kind of the ins and outs of marketing and audience development and advertising, and kind of brought that all together in what we call the VidSummit. And we're going into our 5th VidSummit this year. You can find information at vidsummit.com. But what I love about this conference, and it's a conference like no other. I mean, once you go to it once, you'll kind of get the gist of it. It's like when someone presents on stage, they don't walk off and leave the hotel and go from there. They actually go sit in the audience because they're wanting to learn as well. And we have this culture of transparency and this culture of sharing, where creators helping creators. And that's a really big deal for me. And I do know this. It's like in this space, when you can get with like-minded creators or business people, and you come together and strategize and have tactics and plans, then you're able to really change the world in a very positive way. First off, with your own personal life, but also your family's lives. It was several years ago that Tim and I sat down. He wanted to figure out how to start monetizing a little bit differently than just ad revenue, and really wanted to make a business out of it. And Tim, how many years ago was that? Was that like 4 or 5 years ago?
I think it was VidCon 2000, obviously. Let's see. I'm trying to think of the timeline from Real SEO. That was 2008. It was like 2011. Is that right? 12?
Yeah, I think that's about right. 2011. But it's like having those types of conversations. So Tim had his background, where he was coming from. I have my background, but literally collaborating. Most people view, oh, he does the same thing I do on YouTube. Why would I help him out? But I can tell you right now, I care for Tim. I care for his family. I care for his family's well-being. And the nature of me, I want to help. I want to help people. Yeah. That's why I'm doing this. And so we sat down. I know it was like for 3 or 4 hours, and we came up with some type of strategy and plan. It was like on a napkin, but literally something that he could execute on. And what's been really cool, Tim, from my perspective, is you've been able to knock it out of the park on every little thing that we discussed, all those years ago.
I should see if I can find those notes. That would be interesting to look back on. But yeah, Daryl does this for a lot of guys, a lot of people. I know, not just me. Like, that's just the heart Daryl has. It wasn't like necessarily a Tim Schmoyer thing as much as like, I want to serve people. And that's what, VidSummit is all about. Like, let's come together and learn from each other. And we want to talk about the television topic. I know that's why you guys are here, but there's a really good question in the chat from CBV TV, who said, I'm still considering VidSummit, not sure if it's for me. Can you just real briefly, like, who ideally in your mind is like who's this most ideally suited for this event?
Okay, so
chance to talk them into it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're a fan that just want to meet someone that's presenting, this is not the place for you. Like, seriously, it's not the place. But if you see this video, online video, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, doesn't matter what platform, you're able to see an opportunity where if you could learn a little bit more of the algorithms and learn a little bit more about audience development and business growth and making yourself a brand and really leveraging that brand and connecting with other creators that are like-minded, then absolutely the VidSummit would be for you. I'm very guarded. I'll be honest with you. I'm very guarded who I make sure comes to the VidSummit, because I don't want it to be something that it's not. And what it's not is a place where people are just coming to be entertained. What it is, it's more about really a place where you can share information, but also receive information to really impact your life, to make your life better. And I don't mean that in a broad sense. I mean, like, if you can learn how to leverage video in a way that can support you and your family, then that's a win for me. I want to give you a quick example. I had a creator friend of mine reach out, says, hey, I'm thinking about coming to the VidSummit. I don't know if this is right for me. So the exact same question that you had. And I says, well, what do you want to do in your life? And tell me what your finish line was. And he goes, well, I want 1 million subscribers. I want to be able to make money and do brand deals and do all this other stuff. I says, that's great. VidSummit's a place for you. He came and he was listening to one of my presentations, and went back, and in the hallway, he was actually having a conversation with two other creators. Little did he know that two of the creators had over 5 million subscribers on one channel, and a couple other channels that had over 1 million plus. And they were having a conversation. And this is what I love about VidSummit was they didn't, because he was in the conversation, they didn't say, how many subscribers do you have? Because he only had 1,000 subscribers, but he was contributing to the conversation. But what he was able to get, it was like literally connecting to the dots of some of the things that he had thought about. And he's like, this is brilliant. This is great. And the next year he came to VidSummit, he had 1 million subscribers and had almost 1 billion video views. The difference, though, is this is not normal for everyone. It's not normal, but the people that are entrepreneur, the people that really get where video's going and they want to really master their craft, which mastering your craft is like speeding up your time to be able to understand your workflow, but also how you're able to shift and bring on a team. I know, Tim, when you first started, it was just you, and now you have a team that helps you manage. That's what VidSummit is there, is to support you as a creator, as a business owner, but also to support your team and get them connected with systems and ideas that will help further your business. So if that's what you are, I would say that's what VidSummit's all about.
Yep. Yeah, I know some of you guys in the chat are like, so TV, which we'll talk about. But the thing that like I've noticed that the people who make the commitment to go do this type of thing are typically the people who are going to win. Because I know like some of the common pushback is like, well, like you can get a lot of information for free online, or I'm not even, but like whatever. And that's true. You can. And Daryl and I both do that for you guys. But for the people who are like, I am going to drop a couple $1,000s in hotel and airfare and food and transportation and time off for my family and my work and investing into, like, those are the people who are like, I'm serious. And those are the types of people I think you want to surround yourself with at events like VidSummit. And so I'll be there. Looking forward to hopefully meeting you guys there. Go to vidsummit.com. Is that right, Daryl? And they can watch.
Yeah,
we're going to show a video here.
vidsummit.com for all the details and information. One last thing on this, though. You'll see the people who are presenting, and you'll be able to see there at vidsummit.com, and you're able to see a lot of the educators, a lot of the people that are crushing it. Some people you don't even know in the industry that are just literally crushing it in their space. I think the biggest thing for me is the people that are actually sitting in the audience. Every year we have WWE come. They have 30 million subscribers. They're getting, like, they're the second most viewed channel on YouTube of all time. They're almost 1 billion video views a freaking month. Now, that alone, you're like thinking, oh my gosh, 1 billion. And if you're able to see it, so they bring their team. They've been super great. But we also have just at the VidSummit, close to 3 to 4 that have over 10 million subscribers. We have quite a few that have over 5 million subscribers. We had like 100 and some odd that had over 1 million. And you never know who you're sitting next to, and you never know the amount of information that you're able to get. And I think if you're coming to the VidSummit, I would do 2 things. Number 1, be ready to learn, because it's all about learning. But 2, don't try to promote yourself. Listen to other people. And that's the biggest thing, is if you actively listen to people, asking them questions, you're going to be able to pull a lot of information out in a very short amount of time from people that are actually just getting it in the industry. And that's where it can be super powerful by coming to the VidSummit.
Cool. Metal for Breakfast, thank you for the $10 super chat. Said thank you, Daryl, for helping me get to VidSummit, and thank you both for helping out us creators. Can't wait to meet you guys. Thank you for the $10, man. I appreciate that. And Chris,
he's a killer creator too. He's probably one of the more creative creators I've seen in a while.
Sweet, looking forward to meeting you.
Gotta check him out.
And then Chris Conkle, another $10 super chat. Thank you. You've helped me understand this platform and how I fit in it. Thank you, Tim. You're welcome. Thanks for being a part of this, Chris. So television stuff, Daryl. It's growing quickly. It's growing fast. And, in Europe, it's like 45% year over year. It's growing. I like the television audience because they're worth like a crazy more amount of watch time usually, or an average viewing duration than especially search, but any other traffic source, usually television not traffic source, but in terms of devices, YouTube televisions are up there, like one of the top ones. So as television's growing, I think it's important for us to talk about maybe how we optimize for this. I want to hear some of your thoughts on this because I know you've worked a lot with TV. I've noticed that for myself, when I was thinking about this coming in today, I'm like, yeah, my YouTube viewing habits have changed. Like I hadn't really noticed it that much, but it used to be all on desktop, and then it was kind of for me mostly on tablet. And now for me, it's mostly on TV. It's something I turn on while I'm in the room doing something else. It's become more of that passive viewing experience, except for Do Perfect. I sit down and watch every single one as soon as it comes out. No multitasking on those. But for most of them, I've noticed that I do put it on TV. Not all the time, but it's certainly more for me than it used to be now that I have Roku at our house. I didn't so much with Chromecast, but... So as we think about this, you guys should go look at YouTube Analytics. Go to youtube.com/analytics, and then on the left sidebar, click on devices, and you can see exactly how much watch time and viewership and things like that you're getting from television screens yourself. But Daryl, as creators, what should we be considering as we optimize for our content for television audiences?
Yeah, to optimize for television, you need to put in the mindset of what your content's about and what type of content that you're actually creating. The thing that most people don't know, Tim, is the algorithm or the AI, Google Brain, basically, that's running pretty much YouTube at this time, is trying to predict what video to suggest next for you as a viewer. And it knows your viewing behaviors. Like it can see, like when you're on mobile, you're going to watch a certain type of video with a certain length, and you're going to engage in it in a certain way. When you're on desktop, it's going to do the same thing. When you're on tablet, you're going to see the same thing, and it's going to see a variety of things. It's also going to notice too on television that you have different viewing behaviors. Now, this is where YouTube's really cool from my perspective. It basically says what is best for Tim Schmoyer to watch on his mobile phone, what's best for him to watch on his desktop, tablet, if you're watching on tablet, but what's best for him to watch on television. Now, for me, I just barely watched a 2-hour, something on YouTube, and it was on my TV. And it was easy for me to consume like that because it was built for TV. It was the Joe Rogan's interview with Elon Musk. Now, I could have watched it on my phone, but my viewing behavior on my phone, I don't normally go more than 5 to 7 minutes. And so it wasn't being suggested until I actually logged in, through YouTube, through my television, that it actually came up. And I know people were talking about it. I knew I was saving it when I got home, and it was suggested there for me to watch. And I watched, the whole interview. And that's the first thing is when you're creating content, it's really important that you're creating content that's meant for the device. And so if you have a really high amount of percentage that it is for mobile, I would always be mobile first. But if you're getting more and more that are coming through the television portion of it, you got to figure out what they're wanting. So that's what we're going to actually cover here today, is how to actually optimize for that. The first thing that I would do is, regardless of what space that you're actually going in, I would actually start creating content that was meant to be watched in a series. Now, there's a couple things that are really important when you do this. When you're actually going series-driven content, you're going to actually get more video views because of the natural connection that content has together, and the AI saying, look, I know that this first video that's in this series is relating to video 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. And so naturally it's going to be suggested more. And then 2, when you're dealing it within a series, you're basically looking at, okay, what actually works? What actually works with the clientele or the viewers that's actually watching the video, and what's the threshold of them interacting and engaging with? And one factor that I always look at is the average view duration. I know a lot of people look at minutes watched, but I like to look at the numbers for your average view duration by traffic source. And then you can start seeing the threshold of what the average is per traffic source. And oh, let's make a series that's meant for longer form content, which your longest form content, your highest average view duration should be on television as a traffic source, and trying to figure out a way that you're able to package it in a way that they'd have to watch back to back of the specific episodes that you're actually uploading.
Yeah. You guys in chat are asking a lot of good questions. Laura, my producer, is in there, and she's taking your questions, and we'll be jumping into them here momentarily. So good questions. Keep them coming, and we'll do our best to get through as many of them as possible here. Daryl, how do you make content become more likely to be watched back to back? Like, what are there anything you do strategically in terms of like end screens or playlists or what that you do to kind of make that more likely to happen?
So I think that the big thing is you got to get in the habit of looking at television content a little bit differently in the sense of how people consume it. It's different than other YouTube videos. It's more like Netflix. And so, or Amazon in specifics. But, people want to consume as fast as they want and as much as they want. And the more information you have back to back, the easier it is to consume it. There have been strategies. Now, I want you to put this in context. I work with some of my clients right now is Viacom, NBC. I do a lot with BYU Television, and it's coming up with strategies that they're able to put online content, but also monopolize on the new Apple TV. And one of the biggest thing is how often do you actually upload, and how often do you actually put in a series? If it's meant to be binge watched, when they released the Cobra Kai on the YouTube television, it was all released very closely together so that people can actually watch one episode right after another because they can binge it. And I was guilty. Like, I literally watched 4 episodes of Cobra Kai when it came out, when I didn't have the 4 hours to watch it, but it was like back to back to back to back. And the most important element is that last portion of your video that really encourages them to watch the next in the order, that they know that there's a series, they know that there's videos that are going to be subsequent, and you're really pushing that. So ways to do that is to give them a little sneak peek of the next episode, or have you engage with them in a little bit different way than you would normally in a regular YouTube video.
Could be like, hey guys, now to really take this to the next level, or, click right here. And on television, you can click right there. I mean, those interactive cards do work. Annotations do not, but the end screens do. And so you can have those right there for people to not click on, I suppose, but clicking with the remote. Yeah. And go through series playlists. Does that make a difference on YouTube TV? Not on YouTube TV. That's a different product, but on television screens. Absolutely.
You have 2 different types of playlists. And I don't know if people realize that you can actually have a playlist that's specifically for the TV product. So you have playlists that you have in general, but then you have a specific playlist that's for TV. So, Tim, I think you have that feature enabled on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's an invite-only feature. And so it is confusing because that is called a series, but I'm talking about the series checkbox, inside of a playlist settings, which doesn't force videos any longer to be played back to back, but it does seem to make it more likely anyway. Is that what you've seen?
Yeah, it increases the probability. What you're doing is creating a data point that says, YouTube, this content belongs together, and as a higher percentage of people that finish the video go on to that next one, that increases the chance of that being the next up video that's actually showed.
Some of you guys in chat are pointing out how we're using some confusing terms, and I'm glad that this is why I like live streaming, because they help us make the podcast better.
Make better content.
YouTube TV is a separate product than what we're talking about here. So YouTube TV is where you can access all the public channels plus some other channels that are available in your local area, live streaming through the YouTube TV app or site, or it's tv.youtube.com, and it's got DVR included. You can just record the shows and the movies you want to watch and watch them at any time later. And then YouTube's originals are part of that, as well as some other content. To get your content in that is a different process. That's kind of what we tease. It's called the YouTube series, which is a little bit confusing term because you have a playlist series too, and the product overlaps in that regard. But that's not what we're talking about. That's a different product. What we're talking about is people who just open up like a Roku or Apple TV or Chromecast, or what, well, I guess not Chromecast, and they're just going to YouTube and watching it on their mobile or on their television screens. So it's not necessarily the YouTube TV product, which I do really love, by the way. And I was not expecting to keep my subscription, but for me, I've done Netflix trials. They keep offering me new ones, and I'm like, I'll try it again. But at the end, I always cancel. Amazon Video we have, but we don't really use. But YouTube TV, like, we consistently go back to that one every multiple times a week as a family, and that's where we mostly get most of our content now, which is interesting. But cool. So let's before we dive into some questions, and thank you for the super chat, Jamal Ali. Appreciate it. We'll get to those questions here in a second. Is there anything else we need to do besides thinking maybe more in a series format that we should be doing?
Yeah. I think the big thing would be your content, and we talked about that for a second, but really making sure your titling and your thumbnail is relevant to the series itself, and you're able to pull it in, and you should be able to see it at a glance, even though that it's adding other links that are provided saying, hey, this is season 1, episode 4. And YouTube knows that when you're able to have that functionality, but make it very quickly at a glance, from the thumbnail that this is, a continuation of the series. There's a lot of content that's up there that isn't series driven. So it's just kind of putting it out. They're just putting just different episodes out, and they're actually putting it all together in season 1, season 2, season 3. And that's fine too, but when content actually belongs with each other, I would try to make it so easy that people are looking for the next video in there. And it will just by the nature of the app, it will make it so that it is suggested up there. And they're very conscientious. I don't know if you noticed this, Tim, but they're conscientious where you actually finish the video. That they actually, like, if you're watching a 2-hour segment, you watch an hour and 15 minutes. And you're able to see, watch the rest of this video, but it doesn't. It just advertises the video itself. So, oh, yeah, I forgot I didn't watch the whole thing. You click on it, and it picks up right where you left off,
right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah, super convenient. Yeah. Now, how about one of the things that I've noticed is different is that on television, it might change from platform to platform, but on Roku, there's no way to comment, to engage. Now, you can give a like, but it's kind of cumbersome to get to. It's not super natural, like not very natural, not supernatural. It's it's to actually engage in some way. It does not work very well, at least currently, in terms of television. So how would that impact your content if you're especially for a lot of you guys maybe who are listening or watching right now, like you guys like comments and you help tell people to smash the like button and things like that, and it's just not very intuitive. Should we change our call to actions and the form of engagement we're looking for or in our content, or should we start crafting it to be just like more for a passive audience, more viewing audience, or how does that impact things?
Yeah, that's a really powerful question. And I think the biggest thing when I actually get a consultation or I'm working with a client is we're looking to optimize their content. And what we're trying to do is get a higher click-through rate, get a longer average view duration, and then everything else works. And one thing that I found is really the people that are watching their average view duration and trying to increase that so that they're getting a higher percentage of viewed, that's where you need to do it. And you can see, how people engage with your content. It's really, really vast what YouTube's given us. I mean, seriously, like the tools that we have now, it's unbelievable to make better content. And so when I'm working with these clients, I'm trying to get them to really optimize their content. Most of you guys are extremely happy with what your content you're putting out there. I just did a poll on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and I asked, okay, what are you struggling most with? And the number one was search and discovery that people have, the discovery of my videos. But the one that was last place was literally average view duration, which I can tell you right here, right now, and I know Tim can concur. It's like, that tells us your content's not very good. And so the thing what I would look for is if you are getting a massive source coming from television, I would see what video content is actually getting a higher average view duration and see if you can find some patterns that are happening. Now, the cool thing about analytics, you can actually group videos together. You can actually create groups. You can create groups to see how the groups are actually functioning in real time. You can actually pull them in and see how they're working with average view duration, and you can compare. I love the how to compare things. You can compare one group against the other, and that is a very powerful technique. Is like pulling your stuff together of your top performing videos and your lower performing videos, and compare why are they similar. And why is it underperforming? And you can see what you're able to cut in and out. Now, me personally, I would not steer away from smash that like button, subscribe button, unless your content tells you otherwise. Yeah. And what I mean by that is if maybe it's only a third of all your traffic sources. If that same content is being released out there on the other apps that YouTube's offering, like the regular YouTube app, then you might be losing some engagement and some ways for people to connect with you and really follow with what you're doing.
Yeah, I have a series. I think I talked with you about there. I don't know, but called Creator Stories. Did I tell you about that series coming out?
Yeah,
next year.
Yeah, coming out next year. Yeah,
yeah, that's 10 episodes, and it is being shot for television actually, and that's why I have the series feature for YouTube TV. Like the actual product is YouTube wants to consider that for featuring as original content in there, but that is like we're taking a lot of different things into consideration, such as like audio. Audio is always important anyway. It doesn't matter the device. But now I'm like, this is like if someone's sitting down listening to this on like on a Bose like surround sound. We're not going that far, but at least not on season 1. But like it needs to look good on a 4K television. It needs to sound good. It needs to feel like TV, not like a, hey guys, how you doing today? Like it's gotta be it needs to feel like a produced episode. And that's what, I'm pretty excited about the direction it's going. But to what we've been talking about with, our call to actions, like the end thing is like, guys, let's just summarize it. This call to action is, click this video on your screen to watch the next episode because, and a little pitch for it, because I want to get that viewing session longer and increase the average duration, view duration, because playlists, if you do playlists well and end screens well, they should be your number 1, number 2 most valuable traffic sources from an average view duration perspective. And
personally, Tim, what I would do for you, and this is just give them a 20-second snippet of what the next video is going to be about. There's something about those trailers that just work really well on that. It's just like giving them kind of a piece, and they'll want to watch it. Like you're getting the best moments.
Just like Survivor. Sure. At the end of Survivor, they're like, next week on Survivor, there's like a couple clips, and my wife's like, ha! I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
Well, here's the thing, Tim, that we didn't really cover, and I think it's really important that people understand this, but you need to know your audience of who's watching from which platform. I can guarantee you Gen Z is not going to be watching television. It's just never going to be watching. Like they would rather be on their little device here when there's a 72-inch television in front of them and they're watching right here, right? But when you have, you have Gen X, that would connect with that, and maybe older millennials, you need to look at where, who's actually watching it. So one of the great things with these analytics, you can say, okay, here's the traffic source, but now tell me, where is it skewed? what are the people that are actually watching this? And then that's when you need to know how to make content for them, because different segmentations, different demographics is going to respond to the device differently. And so I can guarantee you, like my kids, they will not ever, like YouTube TV doesn't even interest them at all.
We're so
they
old.
want to watch it right from their app. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Lily Tree asks, how do the ads work on TV? Do the skippables get skipped less? This is actually a little, I don't know, a little thing I'm not too happy about is like I pay for YouTube Premium because I hate the ads, but we're logged in through a managed channel on our YouTube because that's where all the subscriptions are. And on desktop, no ads, but on television, same account, ads, even though I'm paying to remove them. Someone needs to work on that. But anyway, so I do see ads on television.
I think they
nowhere
are
else.
working on it, Tim. That's how they make more money. Like, we're going to force everybody to watch these ads.
But I pay to remove ads, and it's still there on television because I'm logged in through my managed channel.
You're paying to remove ads in the YouTube app, not the YouTube television app. Totally different platform.
No, I'm talking about the YouTube app on TV and Roku. But yes. But anyway, the ads, how they work on TV, do they get skipped less? I haven't actually looked at the ad rates for television versus mobile. That's interesting to consider, actually. I don't know if they get skipped less or more or not. I don't know that that's information that we would necessarily
Most
have.
of the ones that I work with right now have non-skippable ads in place that, they're either on Google Preferred or they have that option, and they basically go that option for their YouTube TV. So it's like non-skippable ads that are triggering. So
yeah,
and
okay.
Oh, and another thing I was going to say is there's some new technologies coming out with like dynamic placing, where they're doing it off of percentage and viewer behavior, but there's a place where YouTube's now detecting what's the most optimal time in your content. It's like seeing your content flow of when to actually trigger an ad now, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Retro Crunch asks, Tim, exclamation point, really excited to say my name. Is it best to make your videos conform to the style of TV shows, like having a TV type intro and outro and things? Well, since you said my name, I'd say I don't think that's like super important. I do think like having a branded intro can help regardless of television. If you use it for reinforcing your branding and pitching the value prop of your channel to someone in your target audience, so those types of things. But it can't be like a long-winded 30-second intro like some of the television shows do. It's got to be like 3 to 5 seconds max. But the goal is there isn't because that's what television does. The goal is like, you got to use that strategically to pitch your channel to those first-time viewers. Like, what is this channel all about? What's the through line that ties all these videos together? That's kind of like, that's what I think you should have that there for. And if you mean by outro and rolling credits, that is guaranteed your audience retention is going to drop right there. So I would not do that either, personally.
I think the big thing for me to look at is, and this is my perspective on it, is YouTube would like to become Netflix, and this property that they're leveraging that YouTube TV is they're bringing more original series. They're getting more and more integrated with Hollywood and some of the bigger names to provide content. They're working with content creators to get very specific content. And if you want to know how to actually optimize and package your content built for television, I would start watching the original series that are actually coming from YouTube specifically, because that's the best practices. I can guarantee it. Yep. The difference would be is how you pull someone in is going to be normally different in a podcast versus on a informational video on YouTube. And let me tell you why. Is with the podcast, when I'm ready to listen to Tim Schmoyer's podcast, I'm ready to listen to Tim Schmoyer's podcast, and I'll listen to 20, 30 minutes of it. That's basically what you're going to do. You're already primed to sit down or to be driving or to be at the gym ready to listen to that podcast. So the expectancy of bouncing from that podcast to another one is extremely low. With the Apple TV product, people, intend to watch longer form content, and they engage with longer form content a little bit differently. And so I definitely would give some tolerance on the teasing. One thing that I know works really well is if it's really longer content, is to really position it in a way where you're showcasing some of the content that's actually seen in it, and you're packaging it up in a little small trailer that starts before that keeps people's attention spans a lot longer. But there's some content that doesn't warrant it. You don't need it. There's no purpose to do that. And so really looking at some checks and balances, I would be, consuming a little bit more content to see how other properties and IPs are trying to engage with the specific viewer, and how they get them excited about watching the content and so on. Because it is a different medium. Like from my perspective, I'm viewing it as a different medium than I do regular YouTube. And I would be more specific on, what Netflix, that Netflix little preview, and then it does a little bumper, and then it goes with the episode, is pretty powerful. And then at the end of the episode, they're teasing the next episode that's actually happening.
Yeah, cool. Raw Fishing asks, higher res for TV? Is 4K a bigger deal if you're trying to go after a television audience?
Yeah, I know a lot of people might disagree on this with me, and I'm okay with that. But I think you need to future-proof any of your content that can be used on any devices. Like, I remember when 1080 came out and no one was shooting 1080, and I'm like, dude, you got to shoot on 1080 because that's going to be the standard that's out there. HD is big, and a lot of people had some amazing content that weren't able to future-proof it. It's not meant now. People don't want to watch it. It's like they're disconnected because they're seeing those bars and stuff, and there's a lot of the resolution quality is not good. So even if you don't upload in 4K, I would shoot in 4K and store in 4K. That gives you the option to do that later. You're going to see other companies out there like Amazon and a few other companies out there that are going to favor more 4K because they're meant for people watching it, on different platforms than just their mobile device.
Yeah, I just want to and I agree with you, Daryl. The only thing I would add to that is 4K, just for the sake of 4K, it still has to look good, right? Because there's cameras out there that shoot in 4K, and all that really is pixel resolution, not image reproduction quality, right? And so I would say that 1080p on a good lens and camera that makes it look good is better than 4K on your iPhone, So just for what that's worth, it's very very subjective, I know, but
yeah,
at the end of the day,
I'm a big fan. I'm actually a big fan of different frame rates. I love the 60 frames per second look. I just love it. And so
yeah.
I
don't personally. I like the 24.
Because you're more cinematic. You're looking for more of that feel. For me, there's something about that 60 frames 4K that just brings you a little bit closer personally.
Yeah.
Because it's there's less frames being skipped, and it's just I don't know. It's more personal, more authentic for me. It's more it connects a lot quicker. However, if it's more of a feel that you're looking more, with beautiful cinematography and, things, of course, 24 frames per second would make that look just outright amazing. And so you can kind of base off of that. I do believe, though, and this is something I've been preaching for quite some time, is more and more content's going to go live. It's going to go higher frame rates and also higher, higher resolution. And just look at the gaming industry, for example. I don't know that many creators that are not doing at least 60 frames per second, on that.
Yeah, gaming.
And so you have a segment of this is really, really important to understand. I think everybody on here, but you have a segment of viewers that expect a certain type of quality, and if it looks just off, then it sends the wrong message to the brain, and they'll be disconnected with it. There's something that will disconnect it, and I think that's a segment that's going to be huge in the next 2 to 3 years, just because of, how popular esports is and that gaming aspect of it. And more of, Gen Z, that's the type of content that they want to say. They connect a little bit closer with that as well.
Yeah. I don't know if your network connection is going or it's mine, but something's getting there, losing your quality here. Mine, I can't tell on mine, but
could be Skype.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Skype. Yay. Let's do a few more here, then we'll wrap up. Curtis Hustis Productions. How does AdSense work on TV? You can't click on ads unless YouTube plays unclickable ads. So how does that work, Daryl?
All right, so the biggest thing... Are you still able to hear me? Are you okay?
I hear you. It just sounds like you're on the other side of the world now.
Lovely. Okay, so I think that the biggest thing about this is that YouTube has different ad rates for everything that's going on. One of the ad rates that they have is for premium content, or what they call YouTube Premium. It used to be YouTube Red. And it's based off of the watch time and a few other factors on it. You can actually pull that up and see exactly what you're making off of that, and it will be different than actually the clicks and the views on your other content. To get into the specifics and the breakdowns of it, it can get a little complicated just because of the nature of the content, but they do spell it out in analytics pretty easy.
Yep. And then Retro Gamer Boy, how big is the TV audience? Is it even worth it for most YouTube channels to be like considering television as a traffic source or as a device and market that we should be tapping into?
I think the biggest thing for me is there's certain content that should never go on TV just because their audience is not there. And so I would just look at your analytics to see if you're even getting any TV watch time. I think that's really, really important. I had a client that has a younger demographic, wanted to hit more on TV and really optimize for TV just because they wanted to get more of the family sitting down and watching content together. And, we had to put a strategy in to go after that, even though that at the beginning of the beta, this is like 2 years ago when we started this, but it's like it wasn't connecting with them. But we were able to bring in a segment because when people are actually looking for content on TV, there's not a lot of selections outside of the stations that are there, but the type of original series or those that have been vetted to be actually on the platform, then you're able to grow an audience there. We found that it went from about non-existent, it was like 0.2% or something like that, where it's actually 14% now over the course of the last couple of years. And so that does mean a lot. But the difference, I want everyone to realize this, the amount of watch time minutes compared to any other traffic source is like triple on TV, and it will continue to grow. So. Totally.
Cool. People want to learn more about you, Daryl, they find more about VidSummit, go to vidsummit.com, and we both love to hang out with you guys there. For those of you who are members of this channel, I actually have a ton more stories from this past week to share with you guys, and I think it's important as creators we stay on top of how the platform is evolving, what's changing, what's happening in the industry, because that's the only way we know how to stay on top of our game as creators and continue to reach people and change their lives with the messages that we're spreading. So I will post those for you guys who are members here a little bit later today. If you're not, you can click that join button and find out a little bit more about what we do kind of behind the scenes of this channel, kind of go backstage, so to speak, and hear and learn more and get more information that's not always here on the channel. So I'd love to have you guys join that community. And hopefully we'll see you guys at VidSummit. So thank you guys for hanging out. Go to vidsummit.com. Hashtag not sponsored, but you should totally check it out. And thank you, Daryl, for hanging out with us. Appreciate your time. And thank you, Laura, for producing this and bringing everyone's questions together. And we will see you guys for our live stream next week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will see you guys then. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.